Captain Jake Morrison sat in his chair on the bridge of the human ship Horizon. The stars outside looked peaceful, but Jake knew that space was never really peaceful. His ship was far from Earth, exploring the empty areas between the big space empires. They had been out here for 6 months, looking for new planets and studying strange signals from deep space. The Horizon was not a warship. It was built for science and exploration. Jake's crew of 12 people were researchers, not soldiers. They had some basic weapons, but nothing that could fight a real battle. Their job was to learn, not to fight. Dr. Lisa Carter was working at her station, studying alien biology samples they had collected from their last stop. She was the smartest person Jake had ever met when it came to understanding alien life forms. Lisa could look at a strange creature and figure out how it lived and what it needed to survive. Engineer Kate Phillips was checking the ship's engines in the lower decks. Kate could fix anything that broke on the Horizon. She had been working on ships since she was 16 years old. The crew trusted her to keep them alive in the cold darkness of space. Communications officer Ben Clark suddenly looked up from his equipment. His face was serious. Ben spent his days listening to radio signals from across the galaxy. Most of them were just noise or normal traffic between planets and ships. "Captain, I'm getting something strange," Ben said. "It's a distress signal, but it's different from anything I've heard before." Jake walked over to Ben's station. "What makes it different?" "It's been broadcasting for months, maybe longer. The signal is coming from the Kepler 442 system. That's about 3 weeks away at full speed." Ben played the signal through the bridge speakers. The sound was unlike anything they had heard before. It was not the usual electronic beeping of most distress signals. This sounded almost like music, but sad music. It had a rhythm that made Jake think of someone crying for help. "Can you understand what it's saying?" Jake asked. Ben shook his head. "Not yet, but Dr. Carter might be able to help. It sounds like it comes from a species we've never met before." Jake called Lisa over to listen to the signal. She closed her eyes and listened carefully for several minutes. Her face became more worried as she listened. "This is definitely from an intelligent species," Lisa said. "The pattern suggests they're in serious danger. But there's something else. This signal has been broadcasting on multiple frequencies that every major power in the galaxy monitors. The Altarian Federation should have heard this. So should the Centauri Alliance and the Cosmic Council." "Maybe they're already sending help," suggested pilot Alex Turner. Alex was young but skilled at flying the Horizon through dangerous space. Lisa shook her head. "I've been monitoring galactic emergency networks. There's no record of any rescue operations in that system. No one is talking about this signal at all." Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. "You mean everyone is ignoring it?" "That's exactly what I mean," Lisa said. "I can decode more of this signal if you give me time. But from what I can already understand, whoever is sending this is begging for help, and no one cares." Jake looked at the star chart on the main screen. The Kepler 442 system was far from any major shipping routes. It was not important for trade or military purposes. If a species lived there, they probably had nothing that the big powers wanted. How long to decode the full message? Jake asked Lisa. "Give me 2 hours," she replied. "Ben, keep monitoring all frequencies. See if anyone else is responding to the signal. Alex, plot a course to Kepler 442, but don't engage the engines yet." Security Chief Amy Rodriguez entered the bridge. Amy was a former military officer who had joined the exploration service after getting tired of politics and war. She was tough and practical, but she also cared about doing the right thing. "Captain, I heard the signal from the corridor. It sounds like someone is in real trouble," Amy said. "That's what we're trying to figure out," Jake replied. 2 hours later, Lisa called the senior crew to the bridge. Her face was pale and her hands were shaking slightly. "I've decoded most of the message," she began. "The species calls themselves Zephyrite. They live on a planet called Verdania in the Kepler 442 system. They're being attacked by something called the Korthek Empire." Jake had heard of the Korthek Empire. They were known as brutal raiders who took resources from weaker planets. Most civilized species avoided them or paid them to leave their worlds alone. The Zephyrites are being harvested, Lisa continued. The Korthek aren't just stealing their resources. They're capturing the Zephyrites themselves and using them as living energy sources. The bridge became very quiet. Jake felt sick thinking about what that meant. It gets worse, Lisa said. The Zephyrites are a crystal-based life form. They glow with natural light and their bodies can store and transfer energy. The Korthek are literally draining the life out of them to power their machines. Amy asked the question everyone was thinking. How many Zephyrites are left? According to the signal, about 60,000. But they started with over 2 million. The Korthak have been harvesting them for 8 months. Jake did the math in his head. At that rate, the Zephyrites would all be dead or captured within a month. Have they asked the galaxy for help before? Jake asked. Yes, they've sent signals to the Altarian Federation, the Centauri Alliance, and directly to the Cosmic Council. They even offered to share their crystal technology in exchange for protection. And no one responded? Lisa looked at her notes. The Altarian Federation sent a one-sentence reply saying the matter was outside their territorial interests. The Centauri Alliance never answered at all. The Cosmic Council classified it as a local dispute and refused to intervene. Jake walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, an entire species was being murdered, and the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy didn't care because the Zephyrites had nothing valuable to offer in return. Captain then said quietly, I'm also picking up Korthek. Military communications. They're planning to finish their operation within 30 days. After that, they'll strip mine the planet and move on to their next target. Jake turned back to his crew. These were good people who had joined the exploration service because they wanted to help make the galaxy a better place. He could see in their faces that they all understood what he was thinking. We can't fight the Korthek Empire, Amy said. We're scientists, not warriors. One research ship against their fleet would be suicide. But we can't just ignore this, Lisa added. Those people are going to die and no one else cares. Jake made his decision. Ben, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them about the situation. And request immediate military support for a rescue operation. Sir, Earth is 3 days away by quantum communication. Even if they agree to help, it will take their fastest ships 2 months to reach Kepler 442. I know, but we have to try official channels first. As Ben sent the message, Jake continued giving orders. Lisa, I want you to learn everything you can about Zephyrite biology and Korthek tactics. Kate, how fast can we reach Kepler 442? Kate checked her calculations. 3 weeks at maximum speed, but we'd use most of our fuel getting there. We might not have enough to get back. Jake looked at each member of his crew. I won't order anyone to do this. If we go to Kepler 442, we might not survive. But right now, we're the only people in the galaxy who seem to care that an entire species is being murdered. One by one, his crew nodded their agreement. Alex spoke for all of them. Those people asked for help, and everyone ignored them. Maybe we can't save them all, but we can't ignore them either. Jake felt proud of his crew, but also scared. They were about to attempt something impossible. 12 humans against an empire. But sometimes doing the right thing meant trying even when you knew you would probably fail. Set course for Kepler 442, Jake ordered. Maximum speed. The horizon turned toward the distant star system, carrying the only hope the Zephyrites had left. The horizon moved through space toward the Kepler 442 system at maximum speed. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his cabin, staring at the reply from Earth Command. That had arrived 2 days after they started their journey. The message was short and cold. Request for military support denied. Kepler 442 system offers no strategic value to human interests. Return to assigned patrol route immediately. Do not engage hostile forces without authorization. Jake read the message 3 times, then deleted it. he would not tell his crew about the order to return. They had made their choice, and he would not take that away from them now. Commander Ryan Torres had been Jake's friend since they were both young officers. Ryan was now in charge of military operations for this sector of space. Jake decided to send him a personal message, hoping friendship might succeed where official requests had failed. Ryan, I know you got my official report about the Zephyrites. I'm not asking as a ship captain now. I'm asking as your friend. These people are going to die, and we're the only ones who can help them. Send us back up, please. The reply came back 12 hours later. Ryan's voice sounded tired and frustrated on the recording. Jake, I wish I could help you. I really do. But Earth is dealing with 3 border conflicts right now. The Proxima colonies are under attack, and we just lost 2 ships defending the Europa mining stations. Command won't spare a single fighter for a species that can't offer us anything in return. Ryan paused in his message, and Jake could hear the pain in his friend's voice. I've seen the intelligence reports on the Korthek Empire. They have 12 battle cruisers in that system, plus support ships. Your research vessel wouldn't last 5 minutes in a real fight. Please, Jake, turn around and come home. Don't throw your life away on a mission you can't win. Jake turned off the message and walked to the bridge. His crew was working hard to prepare for whatever they would find at Verdania. Dr. Lisa Carter was studying everything she could find about Zephyrite biology. Engineer Kate Phillips was modifying their ship's systems to work better in combat. Communications Officer Ben Clark was trying to intercept more Korthek transmissions. Any luck breaking their communication codes? Jake asked Ben. The Korthek don't seem to think anyone is coming to help the Zephyrites, so they're not being very careful about security. I've learned that they call their operation Crystal Harvest. They're not just taking prisoners. They're setting up permanent extraction facilities on the planet. Lisa looked up from her research. That means they plan to keep some Zephyrites alive as a renewable energy source. It's not just genocide, Jake. It's slavery. Security Chief Amy Rodriguez was cleaning her weapons in the corner of the bridge. She had been quiet since they started this mission, but Jake knew she was thinking about tactics and strategy. Amy, what are you thinking? Jake asked. I'm thinking we're 12 people with light weapons going up against a military fleet, Amy replied. But I'm also thinking that sometimes small groups can do things that big armies can't. Pilot Alex Turner was studying star charts of the Kepler 442 system. The planet has 3 moons and a thick crystal atmosphere. That might help us hide from their sensors when we arrive. Kate Phillips climbed up from the engine room, wiping grease from her hands. Captain, I've been working on something that might help us. Our quantum drive creates a lot of electromagnetic energy when it operates. If I overload it at the right moment, we could create a massive pulse that might disable their electronics. What would that do to our ship? Jake asked. Probably destroy us, Kate said honestly. But it might give the Zephyrites a chance to fight back. Jake realized that his crew was not planning to survive this mission. They were planning to sacrifice themselves to give the Zephyrites hope. He felt proud and terrified at the same time. Let's not plan on dying just yet, Jake said. We might find another way. Dr. Lisa Carter had been working with the Zephyrite language for days. She was getting better at understanding their communications, and what she learned made the situation worse. Jake, I've been listening to Zephyrite communications from the planet. They know no one is coming to help them. Some of them want to surrender to the Korthek to stop the suffering. Others want to fight to the end, even though they know they'll lose. Are they organized? Amy asked. Do they have any kind of military? The Zephyrites are peaceful by nature. They've never had wars or armies, but they're learning to fight. They're using their knowledge of the planet's crystal caves to hide from the Korthek extraction teams. Ben suddenly looked excited. Captain, I'm getting a new transmission from the planet. It's different from the distress signal. The bridge. Speakers filled with a sound that was even sadder than the original distress call. This time, it was clearly one voice, speaking in the Zephyrite language. Lisa listened carefully. then translated. It's a farewell message. One of their leaders is saying goodbye to the rest of the galaxy. She's saying that the Zephyrites will be remembered only by their empty cities and their unanswered calls for help. The bridge became silent. Everyone was thinking about what it meant to be completely alone in the universe, with no one willing to help when you needed it most. There's more, Lisa continued. She's saying that the Zephyrites forgive the galaxy for ignoring them. She says they understand that every species must look after itself first. Jake felt angry. That's not true. Not every species is that selfish. The message is going out on all frequencies, Ben reported. Everyone in the galaxy will hear it, Jake made a decision. Ben, I want you to send a reply. Tell them that humans heard their call and we're coming to help. Sir, if we broadcast that, the Korthik will know we're coming. We'll lose any chance of surprise. Good, Jake said. I want everyone to know. The Zephyrites, the Korthik, and every government in the galaxy that's been ignoring this situation. Ben looked uncertain. What should I tell them? Jake thought for a moment. Tell them that humans don't ignore people who need help. Tell them that we might not be able to save everyone, but we won't let them die alone. As Ben sent the message, communications started coming in from across the galaxy. Other ships had heard Jake's transmission. Most of the responses were warnings telling them to turn back. A few were from other small ships asking if they could help. 3 cargo ships are changing course toward Kepler 442, Ben reported. They're not military vessels, but their captains want to help. Any word from the major powers? Jake asked. The Altarian Federation sent a formal protest, saying we're interfering in matters outside our authority. The Cosmic Council is demanding that we stop our mission immediately. Lisa smiled for the first time in days. At least now they're paying attention. Jake looked at the star chart. They were still 2 weeks away from Verdania. The Korthak would know they were coming now, and they would be ready for a fight. But somehow, Jake felt better about their chances. Captain, Amy said, I'd been thinking about what you said. Maybe the plan isn't to win a battle. Maybe the plan is to show everyone else that fighting for people who can't fight for themselves is what civilized beings do. Jake nodded. Win or lose, the galaxy is going to watch what happens next. If we fail, maybe someone else will succeed next time. The Horizon continued its journey toward Verdania, carrying the hopes of a dying species and the determination of 12 humans who refused to let injustice happen while they watched. The Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, looking at the main screen that showed them what they had come to fight. Verdania was a beautiful planet covered in crystal formations that sparkled like diamonds. But the beauty was being destroyed. 12 massive Korthik ships hung in orbit above the world like giant metal spiders. Each ship was 5 times larger than the Horizon. Smaller Korthak vessels moved between the big ships and the planet's surface. They were carrying cargo containers full of captured Zephyrites back to the main fleet. The planet's atmosphere, which should have been clear and bright, was filled with dark smoke from industrial machines. My God, whispered Dr. Lisa Carter. They're strip mining the entire world. Engineer Kate Phillips checked her instruments. Those big ships have enough firepower to destroy a small moon. We wouldn't last 10 seconds in a direct fight. Security Chief Amy Rodriguez was studying the enemy fleet through binoculars. They're not expecting trouble. Their defensive formations are loose and I can see gaps in their patrol patterns. Communications Officer Ben Clark was listening to Korthik transmissions. They're talking about finishing the harvest ahead of schedule. Something about selling extra prisoners to another buyer. Pilot Alex Turner guided the Horizon behind one of Verdania's 3 moons. We're hidden for now, but they'll find us if we stay here too long. Jake looked at his small crew. They had come so far and risked so much to reach this moment. Now they could see exactly how impossible their mission was. But no one suggested turning back. Ben, are you picking up any signals from the planet's surface? Jake asked. Yes, sir. The Zephyrites are still broadcasting, but the signals are much weaker now. I think most of them are hiding underground. Lisa had been working on translating Zephyrite communications during their journey. I can understand most of what they're saying now. They know we're here, Captain. They heard our message 2 weeks ago. What are they saying about us? They're calling us the light bearers from distant stars. They can't believe that anyone actually came to help them. Jake felt the weight of responsibility. An entire species was counting on 12 humans to save them from extinction. It was impossible, but they had to try. Amy finished studying the enemy positions. Captain, I have an idea. It's crazy, but it might work. Tell me. The Korthek are using the planet's crystal formations to power their extraction equipment. If we could get down to the surface and damage those crystal networks, it might disrupt their entire operation. Kate looked interested. The crystals. Conduct energy. If we overloaded one part of the network, the feedback could travel through the whole system. How do we get to the surface without being shot down? Alex asked. Amy pointed to the tactical display. The Korthek patrol ships follow the same routes every 4 hours. There's a 20-minute window when the section of the planet is unguarded. We could take a shuttle down during that gap. What about getting back up? Jake asked. Amy was quiet for a moment. We probably can't. This would be a one-way trip. Jake looked at each member of his crew. These people had families back on Earth. They had lives and dreams that they would be giving up. But he could see in their faces that they had already made their choice. There might be another way, Lisa said suddenly. I've been studying Zephyrite biology. They're not just crystal-based life forms. They can share their energy with each other through physical contact. If we could teach them to coordinate their natural abilities, they might be able to fight back. Fight back how? Jake asked. The Zephyrite glow with natural light because they store and convert energy in their crystal bodies. But they've never learned to use that energy as a weapon. They're peaceful by nature. However, if they work together, they could create energy bursts that might damage Korthek equipment. Ben was listening to more transmissions from the planet. Captain, I'm getting a direct communication from the surface. Someone down there wants to talk to us. Put it through. The speakers filled with a voice that sounded like wind chimes mixed with soft music. Lisa translated as the Zephyrite spoke. She says her name is Crystalline Song of Dawn. She's one of the surviving leaders of her people. She wants to know if we're really here to help or if this is some kind of trick. Jake spoke into the communicator, knowing that Lisa would translate his words. Tell her that we're humans from Earth. We heard their call for help, and we came as fast as we could. We're here to fight beside them. After Lisa translated, there was silence for several seconds. Then Crystalline Song of Dawn spoke again, and her voice sounded different, hopeful. She says the Zephyrite have been hiding in the deep crystal caves for months. About 40,000 of them are still free, but they're slowly starving. The Korthek have poisoned the surface water and destroyed their food sources. Ask her if she knows about the crystal energy networks, Jake said. Lisa translated the question and listened to the response. She says the crystals are their life source. Every Zephyrite is connected to the crystal matrix of their world. When the Korthek damage the crystals to power their machines, it hurts all the Zephyrites physically. Amy leaned forward. Ask her if the Zephyrite can control the crystal network. Another exchange in the musical language, then Lisa translated the answer. She says they never learned to use the crystals as tools. The connection has always been spiritual, not practical. But she thinks it might be possible. Jake made his decision. Amy, Kate, Alex, and I will take a shuttle to the surface. Lisa and Ben will stay with the Horizon and coordinate communications. If this goes wrong, take the ship and get back to Earth. Tell everyone what happened here. Captain, Ben said, I'm picking up something new. 3 cargo ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They're the ones that answered our call for help. Jake looked at the display. 3 small merchant ships had arrived at the edge of the system. They were not warships, but they had come anyway. Open a channel to them, Jake ordered. A woman's voice came through the speakers. This is Captain Mary Stone of the cargo ship Freedom. We're here to help however we can. Jake felt a surge of hope. Captain Stone, we're planning a surface mission to help the Zephyrites fight back. Can your ships create a distraction to draw Korthic attention away from the planet? We're merchants, not fighters, but we'll do what we can. These crystal people don't deserve what's happening to them. The other two cargo ship captains, Sam Brown and Tony White, agreed to help with the distraction. Their plan was simple. They would approach the Korthic fleet from the opposite side of the planet, making themselves obvious targets. While the Korthak ships moved to intercept them, the Horizon shuttle could reach the surface. Jake looked at his crew one more time. Everyone understands this mission. We're going down to the planet to teach the Zephyrites how to fight back using their own natural abilities. We probably won't survive, but maybe we can give them a chance to save themselves. Kate checked her equipment. The shuttle is ready, Captain. Amy had packed what few weapons they had. I've studied the Korthic extraction sites. If we can reach the main crystal formation in the southern continent, we might be able to cause a chain reaction through the whole network. Alex was already climbing into the pilot's seat of the shuttle. I can get us down there. Getting back up is going to be the hard part. As the three cargo ships began their desperate charge toward the Korthak fleet, the Horizon shuttle launched toward Verdania. Jake watched the planet grow larger in the window and wondered if humanity's first contact with the Zephyrites would also be their last. But below them, in the crystal caves, 40,000 Zephyrites waited for the light-bearers from distant stars to teach them how to save their world. The shuttle dropped through Verdania's crystal atmosphere like a falling star. Pilot Alex Turner fought to keep the small ship steady as they passed through clouds of toxic gas released by Korthic mining equipment. Captain Jake Morrison gripped his seat and watched the planet's surface rush toward them. Korthic fighters are chasing the cargo ships, reported Security Chief Amy Rodriguez from the co-pilot seat. The distraction is working? Most of their fleet is moving to intercept Captain Stone and the others. Engineer Kate Phillips checked her instruments. I'm detecting massive energy readings from the planet's surface. The crystal formations are bigger than anything we imagined. Through the shuttle windows, they could see the devastation the Korthic had caused. Entire crystal cities lay in ruins. Huge mining machines crawled across the landscape, tearing apart the beautiful formations that had taken thousands of years to grow. Dark smoke rose from processing plants where captured Zephyrites were being drained of their life energy, but they could also see areas where the crystals still glowed with natural light. These were the places where free Zephyrites were hiding, deep underground in caves that the Korthak had not yet found. Landing site ahead, Alex announced. It's going to be rough. The shuttle hit the ground hard and slid across a field of broken crystal before finally stopping. Jake felt his head ring from the impact, but everyone was alive. Amy checked her weapons and opened the shuttle door. The air outside smelled like burned metal and something sweet that made them feel sick. Welcome to hell, she muttered. They had landed near the entrance to one of the large cave systems. Jake could see a faint glow coming from deep inside the caves. That was where the Zephyrites were waiting. Kate grabbed her equipment pack. The main crystal formation is about 2 miles underground. If we can reach it, I might be able to create a feedback loop that will overload the Korthic extraction equipment across the entire planet. They moved quickly toward the cave entrance. The ground was covered with crystal fragments that crunched under their feet. Some of the pieces still glowed with faint light, but the glow was dying as they watched. Those are pieces of dead Zephyrites, Jake realized with horror. The Korthic are literally grinding up their bodies. Amy led the way into the caves with her weapon ready. The passages were tall and wide, carved from living crystal that pulsed with soft light. Beautiful patterns covered the walls, showing the history and culture of the Zephyrite people. They had been walking for 10 minutes when they heard music ahead. It was the same sound they had heard in the distress signals, but this time it was coming from many voices singing together. That's them, Jake said. That's the sound of hope. They turned a corner and entered a vast underground chamber. Thousands of Zephyrites filled the space, their crystal bodies glowing with soft blue and green light. They looked like living sculptures, made of precious gems, each one beautiful and unique. The singing stopped when the humans entered. For a moment, nobody moved. Then one Zephyrite stepped forward. She was taller than the others, and her crystal body sparkled with many colors. "I am Crystalline Song of Dawn," she said in accented but clear English. "You are the light bearers from distant stars. We learned your language from your broadcasts." Jake stepped forward and bowed respectfully. "We're here to help you fight. Back against the Korthik. My name is Jake Morrison. These are my friends Amy, Kate, and Alex." Crystalline Song of Dawn's light grew brighter. "Fight back? We do not know how to fight. We are peaceful people. We have never harmed another living being." "The Korthik are harming you," Amy said firmly. "They're murdering your people. Sometimes you have to fight to protect the innocent." Kate was already studying the crystal formations in the cave walls. "These crystals are incredibly powerful. You could use them to create energy weapons that would disable Korthik equipment." "We do not understand," said another Zephyrite. "The crystals are our connection to life itself. How can they be used for destruction?" Jake knelt down so he was closer to their level. "You don't have to destroy anything. You just have to protect yourselves. The energy that flows through your crystals could create shields or disable the machines that are hurting your people." Crystalline Song of Dawn touched the wall, and the crystals there began to glow brighter. "Show us what you mean." Kate set up her equipment and connected it to the crystal wall. "Watch this." She sent a small electrical pulse through her device. The pulse traveled through the crystal formation, growing stronger as it moved. When it reached the far end of the chamber, it created a flash of light that illuminated the entire cave. The Zephyrites gasped in wonder. They had never seen their crystals used this way before. "If all of you work together," Kate explained, "you could create a pulse strong enough to overload every Korthik machine on the planet, but you would have to coordinate perfectly." "How do we coordinate?" Crystalline Song of Dawn asked. Alex had been quiet until now, but he suddenly understood something important. "You're already coordinated. That singing we heard when we arrived. You were all singing the same song at the same time. You can communicate with each other through the crystals." "Yes," Crystalline Song of Dawn said. "All Zephyrites are connected through the crystal matrix of our world. We feel each other's joy and pain. We share our thoughts and dreams." Amy got excited. "That's better than any military communication system. You can coordinate thousands of people instantly." Jake felt hope growing in his chest. "Can you contact Zephyrites in other cave systems? Other parts of the planet?" "Of course. We are all one people, connected by the crystal heart of our world." Kate was doing calculations on her equipment. "If we can get 40,000 Zephyrites to pulse their energy at exactly the same moment, the feedback through the crystal network would be enormous. It might destroy every Korthik machine on the planet. But it might also kill us," Crystalline Song of Dawn said sadly. "We have never tried to channel so much energy at once." "The Korthik are going to kill you anyway," Amy pointed out. "At least this way, you die fighting for your freedom." Jake stood up and addressed all the Zephyrites in the chamber. "We didn't come here to ask you to die. We came here to give you a chance to live. The energy pulse might be dangerous, but doing nothing is certain death." Crystalline Song of Dawn began to glow brighter, and her light spread to the other Zephyrites around her. Jake realized she was communicating with them through the crystal connection, sharing the human plan with everyone at once. The discussion lasted only a few seconds, but Jake could see the decision spreading through the crowd like ripples in a pond. One by one, the Zephyrites began to pulse with brighter light. "We will try," Crystalline Song of Dawn announced. "If we fail, at least we will fail as free people, not as slaves." Kate began setting up her equipment at the center of the chamber, where the largest crystal formation reached from floor to ceiling. "I need to amplify the pulse and coordinate the timing. Alex, can you help me with the technical setup?" "Already on it," Alex replied. Connecting cables to the crystal matrix. Amy was checking her weapon and looking toward the cave entrance. We need to move fast. The Korthak will notice the cargo ships can't fight back, and they'll start looking for us. Jake helped Kate with her equipment while Crystalline's Song of Dawn spread the word to every Zephyrite hiding across the planet. Through the crystal network, they could coordinate with survivors in dozens of cave systems. Everyone needs to pulse their energy at exactly the same moment, Kate explained. Even a few seconds difference could ruin the whole plan. We understand, Crystalline Song of Dawn said. When you give the signal, every free Zephyrite on our world will channel their life energy into the crystal matrix. Jake looked around the chamber at the thousands of brave crystal beings who were willing to risk everything for freedom. Are you ready? The cave filled with musical voices as every Zephyrite began to sing the same song. Their bodies glowed brighter and brighter as they prepared to fight back against their oppressors for the first time in their history. Above them, the Korthak fleet had no idea that their victims were about to become their enemies. Engineer Kate Phillips made the final connections to the crystal matrix as thousands of Zephyrites prepared for the most important moment in their species' history. Captain Jake Morrison watched the readings on Kate's equipment climb higher and higher as energy built up throughout the planetary crystal network. All cave systems are reporting ready, Crystalline Song of Dawn announced. Her voice carried the harmony of 40,000 Zephyrites singing together through the crystal connection. Every free member of our people is prepared to channel their life energy into the matrix. Security Chief Amy Rodriguez stood guard at the cave entrance, her weapon ready. Captain, I'm hearing aircraft engines overhead. The Korthak are getting suspicious. Pilot Alex Turner was helping Kate monitor the energy levels. The cargo ships are still drawing most of their attention, but not for much longer. Captain Stone's ship is already damaged. Jake felt the weight of the moment. Everything they had worked for came down to the next few minutes. If the plan failed, the Zephyrites would be extinct within days. If it succeeded, they might have given the galaxy something much more valuable than victory. They might have shown everyone what it meant to stand up for others. Kate, are we ready? Jake asked. The energy readings are incredible, Kate replied. I've never seen anything like this. If this works, the pulse will travel through every crystal formation on the planet in less than 3 seconds. Communications Officer Ben Clark's voice came through their radio from the horizon, still hidden behind the moon. Captain, I'm monitoring Korthak communications. They're starting to pull ships back from chasing the cargo vessels. You have maybe 10 minutes before they discover your location. Jake looked at Crystalline Song of Dawn. Are your people ready? We have been ready since the day the Korthak first came to our world, she replied. But we needed someone to show us that being peaceful does not mean accepting injustice. The chamber filled with the most beautiful music Jake had ever heard. Every Zephyrite was singing, and their combined voices created harmonies that seemed to make the air itself shimmer with light. Their crystal bodies grew brighter and brighter until the cave was as bright as daylight. Energy levels are approaching maximum, Kate announced. If we're going to do this, it has to be now. Jake took a deep breath. On my mark. 3, 2, 1, now. Kate activated her equipment at the exact moment that 40,000 Zephyrites released their stored energy into the planet's crystal matrix. The result was beyond anything they had imagined. Light exploded through the crystal network like lightning, racing across continents in seconds. The cave walls became so bright that the humans had to close their eyes. The musical harmony of the Zephyrites rose to a crescendo that seemed to shake the planet itself, above ground. Every Korthak extraction machine suddenly overloaded and exploded. The energy feedback traveled through their power systems, destroying equipment that had taken years to build. Korthak soldiers ran in panic as their vehicles stopped working and their weapons became useless metal. In orbit, the 12 Korthak battlecruisers found their systems failing as the energy pulse reached their ships through the extraction equipment they had connected to the planet's surface. Emergency lights flickered, weapons powered down, and life support systems struggled to function. But the victory came at a cost. In the cave, many Zephyrites collapsed as the energy drain took its toll. Their crystal bodies dimmed to almost nothing as they poured their life force into the planetary matrix. "Crystalline Song of Dawn," Jake called out as the Zephyrite leader fell to her knees. "We are not dying," she said weakly. "We are giving our energy to our world so that our children can live free." Kate checked her instruments. It worked. Every Korthic facility on the planet is offline. But the energy pulse also damaged some of our equipment. I can't contact the horizon. Amy was still watching the cave entrance. I can hear explosions. From the surface, the Korthak are in chaos up there. Alex helped one of the fallen Zephyrites stand up. "Are you okay?" "We are more than okay," the Zephyrite replied, his crystal body beginning to glow again. "For the first time in months, we cannot feel the pain of our people being harvested. The machines that were draining our life force are silent." Ben's voice crackled through their damaged radio. "Captain, the Korthic fleet is retreating. I repeat, they're leaving the system. Whatever you did down there, it worked." Jake felt relief wash over him, but he knew their work was not finished. "Ben, are you broadcasting this?" "To everyone in the galaxy, sir. The whole universe is watching." Jake turned to address the Zephyrite who were slowly recovering their strength. "Your fight is over, but ours might just be beginning. The Korthak will be back with different equipment. You need to be ready." Crystalline Song of Dawn stood up, her light growing stronger. "We understand now that peace requires the strength to defend it. You have taught us that helping others is the highest form of civilization." Over the next few hours, the humans helped the Zephyrite establish communication with the galaxy. Using their restored crystal network, the Zephyrite began broadcasting their own message to every inhabited world. Dr. Lisa Carter translated their words from the horizon. "The Zephyrite are telling the galaxy what happened here. They're explaining how humans risked their lives to help a species they had never met before. They're asking other civilizations to remember that power should be used to protect the weak, not to ignore them." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Small ships from dozens of worlds changed course toward Verdania, bringing medical supplies and offering to help rebuild. Species that had been ignored by the major powers began forming alliances based on mutual aid rather than military strength. But the most important message came from Captain Mary Stone of the cargo ship Freedom. Her voice was weak but determined as she spoke from her damaged ship. "This is to every captain, every crew, every person listening across the galaxy. Today we learned that it doesn't take a fleet of warships to make a difference. It just takes people who care more about doing what's right than about doing what's safe." Jake stood in the crystal chamber, surrounded by Zephyrite whose light was growing stronger by the hour. Their planet would heal, their people would survive, and their culture would endure. "Captain," Amy said, "I'm getting a message from Earth." "Command?" Jake expected another order to return immediately, but the message was very different. "Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Patricia Chun. The entire galaxy has watched your mission. Humanity has been formally invited to join the Galactic Council, not as a military power, but as a moral leader. Your actions have changed how we define civilization itself." Alex laughed with joy. "We did it. We actually did it." "No," Jake corrected him. "They did it." He gestured to the Zephyrite around them. "We just showed them they weren't alone." Crystalline Song of Dawn approached Jake with something in her crystal hands. It was a small piece of their planetary matrix, glowing with soft light. "This is for your people," she said. "So they will always remember that the greatest victories come not from conquering others, but from helping them discover their own strength." Months later, the Horizon returned to Earth carrying that crystal and the story of what 12 humans and 40,000 Zephyrite had accomplished together. The crystal was placed in the United Nations building where its light reminded everyone that the universe was full of people worth saving. The Korthic Empire never returned to Verdania. But more importantly, they never again found a galaxy willing to ignore the cries for help from those who could not defend themselves. And somewhere in the crystal caves of Verdania, Zephyrite children grew up singing songs about the light-bearers, from distant stars who taught their people that peace and strength could exist together, and that true civilization meant never letting anyone face darkness alone.